everyone. This is the Bible reading video for section 6, lesson 5. I'm having a lot of voice issues today. I think it's just warfare. So Numbers 12 through 18 and Psalms 35 is what we're reading. We're going to get through it today. Numbers 12. Now Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman whom he had married, for he had married a Cushite woman. And they said, "Has the Lord really spoken only through Moses? Has he not spoken also through us?" And the Lord heard it. Now the man Moses was very humble, gentle, kind, devoted, devoid of self-righteousness, more than any man who was on the face of the earth. Suddenly the Lord said to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, "Come out, you three, to the tent of meeting, tabernacle." And the three of them came out. The Lord came down in a pillar of cloud and stood at the doorway of the tabernacle. And he called Aaron and Miriam, and they came forward, and he said, "Hear now my words. If there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known to him in a vision, and I will speak to him in a dream. But it is not so with my servant Moses. He is entrusted and faithful in all my house. With him I speak mouth to mouth, directly, clearly, and openly, and not in riddles. And he beholds the form of the Lord." Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Miriam and Aaron, and he departed. But when the cloud had withdrawn from over the tent, behold, Miriam was leprous, and as white as snow. And Aaron turned and looked at Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. Then Aaron said to Moses, "O my Lord, I plead with you, do not account this sin to us, in which we have acted foolishly and in which we have sinned. Oh, do not let her be like one dead, already half decomposed when he comes from his mother's womb." So Moses cried out to the Lord, saying, "Heal her, please, O God, I plead with you." But the Lord said to Moses, "If her father had but spit in her face, would she not bear her shame for 7 days? Let her be shut up outside the camp for 7 days, and afterwards she may return." So Miriam was shut up outside the camp for 7 days, and the people did not move on until Miriam was brought in again and declared ceremonial clean from her leprosy. Afterward, the people moved on from Hazeroth and camped in the wilderness of Paran. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am going to give the sons of Israel. From each of their fathers' tribes you shall send a man, every one a leader among them." So Moses sent spies from the wilderness of Paran at the command of the Lord. All of them were men who were heads of the Israelites. These were the names: from the tribe of Reuben, Shemua, the son of Zakur. From the tribe of Simeon, Shebat, the son of Hori. From the tribe of Judah, Caleb, and the son of Jephunneh. From the tribe of Issachar, Igal, the son of Joseph. From the tribe of Ephraim, Hoshea, that is Joshua, the son of Nun. From the tribe of Benjamin, Paltai, the son of Raphu. From the tribe of Zebulun, Gediel, the son of Zodai. From the tribe of Joseph, that is, of the tribe of Manasseh, Gadai, the son of Susai. From the tribe of Dan, Amiel, the son of Gemali. From the tribe of Asher, Sethur, the son of Michal. From the tribe of Naphtali, Nahabi, the son of Ophiz. From the tribe of Gad, Gil, the son of Machi. These are the names of the men that Moses sent to spy out the land, but Moses called Hosea, the son of Nun, Joshua, "The Lord is salvation." Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said to them, "Go up this way into the Negev, the south country, then go up into the hill country. See what the land is like, and whether the people who live there are strong or weak, few or many, and whether the land in which they live is good or bad, or whether the cities in which they live are open camps or fortifications, and what the land is, whether it is fat, productive, or lean, whether there is timber on it or not. Make an effort to get some of the fruit of the land." Now the time was the time for the first ripe grapes. So they went up and spied out the land from the wilderness of Zin, of Rehob, the town of Lebanon, at Leboth Hamath in the far north. When they had gone up into the Negev, the south country, they came to Hebron, and Ahimah, Shisha, and Tamar, the descendants of Anak, were there. Now Hebron was built 7 years before Zon in Egypt. Then they came to the valley of Eshcol, cluster of grapes. And from there they cut down a branch with a single cluster of grapes, and they carried it on a pole between two of them, with some of pomegranates and the figs. That place was called the valley of Eshcol, cluster of grapes, because of the cluster of grapes which the sons of Israel cut down there. When they returned from spying out the land, at the end of 40 days, they came to Moses and Aaron, and to all the congregation of the sons of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh, and brought back word to them and to all the congregation, and showed them the land's fruit. They reported to Moses and said, "We went into the land where you sent us, and it certainly does flow with milk and honey, and this is the fruit. But the people who lived in the land are strong, and the cities are fortified, walled, and very large. Moreover, we saw there the descendants of Anak, people of great stature and courage. The people descended from Amalek live in the land of the Negev, south country. The Hittite, the Jebusite, and the Amorite live in the hill country, and the Canaanites live by the Dead Sea and along the side of the Jordan." Then Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, "Let us go up at once and take possession of it, for we will certainly conquer it." But the men who had gone up with him said, "We are not able to go up against the people of Canaan, for they are too strong for us." So they gave the Israelites a bad report about the land which they had spied out, saying, "The land through which we went in spying it out is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people there that we saw in it are men of great stature. There we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak are part of the Nephilim. And we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight." Numbers 14. Then all the congregation of Israel raised their voices and cried out, and the people wept that night. All the Israelites murmured in discontent against Moses and Aaron, and the whole congregation said to them, "Oh, that we had died in the land of Egypt! Oh, that we had died in this wilderness! Why is the Lord bringing us to this land of Canaan to fall by the sword? Our wives and children will become plunder. Would it not have been better for us to return to Egypt?" So they said to one another, "Let us appoint a new leader and return to Egypt." Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the Israelites. Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their clothes as a sign of grief. And they spoke to all the congregation of the sons of Israel, saying, "The land through which we passed as spies is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, the land which flows with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not fear the people of the land, for they will be our prey. Their protection has been removed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them." But all the congregation said to Joshua and Caleb But all the congregation said to stone Joshua and Caleb with stones. But the glory and brilliance of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting before all the sons of Israel. The Lord said to Moses, "How long will these people treat me disrespectfully and reject me? And how long will they not believe in me, despite all the miraculous signs I have performed among them? I will strike them with the pestilence plague and dispossess them, and will make you into a nation greater and mightier than they." But Moses said to the Lord, "Then the Egyptians will hear of it, for by your strength you brought up these people from among them. And they will tell it to the inhabitants of the land. They have heard that you, O Lord, are among these people of Israel, that you, O Lord, are seen face to face while your cloud stands over them, and that you go before them in a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. Now if you kill these people as one man, then the nations, Gentiles, that have not heard of your fame will say, because the Lord was not able to bring these people into the land which he promised to give them, therefore he slaughtered them in the wilderness. But now please let the power of the Lord be great, just as you have declared, saying, the Lord is slow to anger and abundant in loving kindness, forgiving wickedness and transgression, but he will by no means clear the guilty, avenging the wickedness of the guilt of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generations, that is, calling the children to account for the sins of their fathers. Please pardon the wickedness and guilt of these people according to the greatness of your loving kindness, just as you have forgiven these people from Egypt until now." So the Lord said, "I have pardoned them according to your word. But indeed, as I live, all the earth will be filled with the glory of the Lord. Surely all the men who have seen my glory and my miraculous signs, which I performed in Egypt and in the wilderness, yet have put me to the test these 10 times and have not listened to my voice, will by no means see the land which I swore to give their fathers, nor will any who treated me disrespectfully and rejected me see it. But my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and has followed me faithfully, I will bring into the land that into which he entered, and he will and his descendants shall take possession of it. Now the Amalekites and the Canaanites live in the valley. Tomorrow turn and set out for the wilderness by way of the Red Sea. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, How long shall I put up with this evil congregation who murmur and discontent against me? I have heard the complaints of the Israelites which they are making against me. Say to them, As I live, says the Lord, just what you have spoken in my hearing I will most certainly do to you. Your dead bodies will fall in this wilderness, even all you who were numbered of you, your entire number from 20 years old and upward, who have murmured against me, except for Caleb the son of Jephunneh and Joshua the son of Nun. Not one of you shall enter the land in which I swore an oath to settle you. But your children, whom you said would become plunder, I will bring in, and they will know the land which you have despised and rejected. But as for you, your dead bodies will fall in this wilderness. Your sons shall be wanderers and shepherds in the wilderness for 40 years, and they will suffer for your unfaithfulness, spiritual infidelity, until your corpses are consumed in the wilderness. According to the number of days in which you spied out the land of Canaan, 40 days, for each day you shall bear and suffer a year for your sins and guilt for 40 years. And you shall know my displeasure, the revoking of my promise, and my estrangement because of your sin. I, the Lord, have spoken. I will most certainly do this to all this evil congregation who are gathered together against me. In this wilderness they shall be consumed by war, disease, and plagues, and here they shall die. As for the men whom Moses sent to spy out the land, and who returned and made all the congregation murmur and complain against him by bringing back a bad report concerning the land, even those 10 men who brought back the very bad report of the land died by a plague before the Lord. But Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh remained alive out of those men who went to spy out the land. Moses spoke the Lord's word to all the Israelites, and the people mourned greatly. They got up early in the morning and went up to the ridge of the hill country, saying, Look, here we are. We have indeed sinned, but we will go up to the place where the Lord has promised. But Moses said, Why then are you transgressing the commandment of the Lord, when it will not succeed? Do not go up, or you will be struck down before your enemies, for the Lord is not among you. For the Amalekites and the Canaanites will be there in front of you, and you will fall by the sword because you have turned away from following the Lord. Therefore the Lord will not be with you. But in their arrogance they dared to go up to the ridge of the hill country. However, neither the ark of the covenant of the Lord nor Moses left the camp. Then the Amalekites and Canaanites who lived in that hill country came down and struck the Israelites and scattered them as far as Hormah. Numbers 15. Now the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the Israelites and say to them, When you come into the land where you are to live, which I am giving you, then make an offering by fire to the Lord, a burnt offering and a sacrifice to fulfill a special vow, or as a freewill offering, or in your appointed feast, to make a sweet and soothing aroma to the Lord from the herd or from the flock. The one who presents his offering shall present to the Lord a grain offering of 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour with 1/4 of a hin of oil. And you shall prepare wine for the drink offering and 1/4 of a hin, and the burnt offering, or for the sacrifice for each lamb. Or for the ram you shall prepare as a grain offering 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with 1/3 of a hin of oil. And for the drink offering you shall offer 1/3 of the hin of wine as a sweet and soothing aroma to the Lord. When you prepare a bull as a burnt offering or as a sacrifice, and fulfilling a special vow or peace offering to the Lord, then you shall offer with the bull of the grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with 1/2 a hin of oil. And you shall bring as a drink offering 1/2 a hin of wine as an offering by fire, as a sweet and soothing aroma to the Lord. Thus shall it be done for each bull, or for each ram, or for each of the male lambs, or for the goats, according to the number that you prepare, so you shall do everything according to their number. All who are native born shall do these things in this way, in presenting an offering by fire as a sweet and soothing aroma to the Lord. If a stranger lives as a resident alien with you, or whoever may be among you throughout your generations, and he wishes to make an offering by fire as a sweet and soothing aroma to the Lord, just as you do, so shall he do. As for the assembly, there shall be one, and the same statute for you of the congregation, and for the stranger who is resident alien with you, a permanent statute throughout your generations, as you are, so shall the stranger be before the Lord. There is to be one law and one ordinance for you, and for the stranger who lives with you as a resident alien. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the Israelites and say to them, When you enter the land to which I am bringing you, then when you eat the food of the land, you shall lift up an offering, heave offering to the Lord. You shall lift up a cake made of the first of your ground grain, which has been made into dough as an offering to the Lord, as an offering from the threshing floor, so shall you lift it up. From the first of your dough, ground grain, you shall give to the Lord an offering throughout your generations. But when you unintentionally fail and do not observe all these commandments, which the Lord has spoken to Moses, even all that the Lord has commanded you through Moses, from the day that the Lord gave commandments and onward throughout your generations, then it shall be, if it was done unintentionally without the knowledge of the congregation, that all the congregation shall offer one young bull as a burnt offering, as a sweet and soothing aroma to the Lord, with its grain offering and its drink offering according to the ordinance, and one male goat as a sin offering. Then the priest shall make atonement for all the congregation of the sons of Israel, and they will be forgiven, for it was an error, and they have brought their offering, an offering by fire to the Lord, and their sin offering before the Lord for their error. So all the congregation of the Israelites will be forgiven, as well as the stranger who lives among them as a resident alien, because all the people were involved in the error. Also, if one person sins unintentionally, then he shall offer a female goat 1 year old as a sin offering. The priest shall make atonement before the Lord for the person who commits an error when he sins unintentionally, making atonement for him so that he may be forgiven. You shall have one law for him who sins unintentionally, whether he is native born among the Israelites or a stranger who is living among them as a resident alien. But the person who does anything wrong willfully and defiantly, whether he is native born or a stranger, that one is blaspheming the Lord. And that person shall be cut off from among his people, excluding him from the atonement made for them. Because he has despised and rejected the word of the Lord, and has broken his commandment, that person shall be utterly cut off. The responsibility for his wickedness and guilt will be upon him. Now while the Israelites were in the wilderness, they found a man who was gathering wood on the Sabbath day. Those who found him gathering wood brought him to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation, and they put him in custody because it had not been explained by God what should be done to him. And the Lord said to Moses, the man shall certainly be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones outside the camp. So all the congregations brought him outside the camp and stoned him to death with stones, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the sons of Israel and tell them to make for themselves tassels on the hems of their garments throughout their generations, and put a cord of blue on the tassel of each of hem. It shall be a tassel for you to look at and remember all the commandments of the Lord, to do them so that you do not follow after the desires of your own heart and eyes, desires after which you used to follow and play the prostitute, so that you may remember to do all my commandments and be holy, set apart to your God. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God. Number 16. Now Korah the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, with Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Pelah, descendants of Reuben, took action, and they rose up in rebellion before Moses, together with some of the Israelites, 250 leaders of the congregation, chosen in the assembly, men of distinction. They assembled together against Moses and Aaron and said to them, you have gone far enough, for all the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Why then do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord? And when Moses heard this, he fell face downward. And he spoke to Korah and to all his company, saying, in the morning the Lord will show who belongs to him and who is holy, and I will bring him near to himself. The one whom he will choose, he will bring near to himself. Do this, take censers for yourselves, Korah and all your company, then put fire in them and place incense on them in the presence of the Lord tomorrow. And the man of whom the Lord chooses shall be the one who is holy. You have gone far enough, you sons of Levi. And Moses said to Korah, hear now, you sons of Levi. Does it seem but a small thing to you that the God of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel to bring you near him to himself, to do the service of the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before the congregation to minister to them? And that he has brought you near to him, Korah, and all your brothers, sons of Levi, with you? Would you seek to the priesthood also? Therefore you and all your company are gathered together against the Lord. But as for Aaron, who is he that you murmur against him? And Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab. But they said defiantly, we will not come up. It is a small thing that you have brought us out of the land. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of the land of plenty, flowing with milk and honey, to kill us in the wilderness? But you would also lord it over us, Indeed, you have not brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, nor given us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you gouge out the eyes of these men? We will not come up." Then Moses became very angry and said to the Lord, "Pay no attention to their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, nor have I harmed any one of them." Moses said to Korah, "You and all your company are to appear before the Lord tomorrow, both you and they, along with Aaron. Each of you is to take a censer and put incense on it, and each of you bring a censer before the Lord, 250 censers, and also you and Aaron shall each bring a censer." So they took his own censer and put fire in it and laid incense in it, and they stood at the doorway of the tent of meeting with Moses and Aaron. Then Korah assembled all the congregation against Moses and Aaron at the doorway of the tent of meeting, and the glory and brilliance of the Lord appeared to all the congregation. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Separate yourselves from among this congregation, so I may consume them immediately." But they fell on their faces before the Lord and said, "O God, God of the spirits of all flesh, when one man sins, will you be angry with the entire congregation?" Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Say to the congregation, 'Get away from around the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram.'" Then Moses arose and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of the Israel followed him. And he said to the congregation, "Get away from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, or you will be swept away in all their sin." So they got back from around the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the doorway of their tents with their wives and their sons and their little children. Then Moses said, "By this you shall know that the Lord has sent me to do all these works, for I do not act on my own accord. If these men die the common death of all mankind, or if what happens to everyone happens to them, then you will know for sure that the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord creates an entirely new thing, and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them up, along with all that belongs to them, and they descend alive into Sheol, the netherworld, the place of the dead, then you will understand that these men have spurned and rejected the Lord." As soon as Moses had finished speaking all these words, the ground under them split open, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their households, and all the men who supported Korah with all their possessions. So they and all that belonged to them went down alive to Sheol, and the earth closed over them, and they perished from among the assembly. All Israel who were around them fled at their outcry, for they said, "The earth may swallow us also." Fire also came forth from the Lord and consumed the 250 men who were offering the incense. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Tell Eleazar the son of Aaron the priest that he is to pick up the censers from the midst of the blaze, for they are holy, and you scatter the burning coals abroad. As for the censers of these people who have sinned at the cost of their lives, have the censers made into hammered sheets as a plating for the altar of burnt offering, for they were presented before the Lord, and they are sacred. They shall be a warning sign to the sons of Israel." So Eleazar the priest took the bronze censers, which the Levites who were burned had offered, and they were hammered out into broad sheets as a plating for the bronze altar of burnt offering, as a reminder to the sons of Israel, so that no layman, that is, one who is not of the descendants of Aaron, should approach to offer incense before the Lord, so that he would not become like Korah and his company, just as the Lord had said to him through Moses. But on the next day the entire congregation of Israelites murmured against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have caused the death of the people of the Lord." When the congregation was assembled against Moses and Aaron, they turned and looked at the tent of meeting, and behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory and brilliance of the Lord appeared. Then Moses and Aaron came to the front of the tent of meeting, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Get away from among this congregation, so that I may consume them immediately." Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces in silence before the Lord. Moses said to Aaron, "Take a censer and put fire in it from the altar and lay incense on it. Then bring it quickly to the congregation and make atonement for them. For wrath has gone forth from the Lord, and the plague has begun." So Aaron took the burning censer as Moses commanded, and ran into the midst of the assembly, and behold, the plague had already begun among the people, and he put the incense and made atonement for the people. He stood between the dead and the living, so that the plague was brought to an end. But those who died in the plague were 14,700, besides those who died because of Korah. Then Aaron returned to Moses at the doorway of the tent of meeting, for the plague had been brought to an end. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the sons of Israel and get rods from them, a rod for each father's household, from all the leaders according to their father's household, 12 rods. Write every man's name on his rod, and write Aaron's name on the rod of Levi, his ancestor, for there is one rod for the head of each of the father's households. You shall then deposit them in the tent of meeting in front of the ark of the testimony where I meet with you. It shall be that the rod of the man of whom I choose will bud, and I will no longer hear the constant grumblings of the Israelites who are grumbling against you. So Moses spoke to the Israelites, and each of their leaders gave him a rod, one for each leader according to their fathers' households, 12 rods, and the rod of Aaron was among their rods. So Moses deposited the rods before the Lord in the tent of the testimony. Now on the next day Moses went into the tent of the testimony, and the rod of Aaron of the tribe of Levi had sprouted and put out buds and produced blossoms and yielded ripe almonds. Moses brought out all the rods from the presence of the Lord to all the Israelites, and they looked, and each man took his rod. But the Lord said to Moses, "Put Aaron's rod back before the testimony in the ark, to be kept as a warning sign for the rebellious and contentious, so that you may put an end to their murmurings of discontent against me, so that they do not die." And Moses did so, just as the Lord had commanded him, so he did. The sons of Israel said to Moses, "Look, we perish. We are doomed, all doomed. Everyone who approaches the tabernacle of the Lord must die. Are we to perish completely?" Numbers 18. So the Lord said to Aaron, "You and your sons and your father's household with you shall bear the guilt in connection with the sanctuary. That is, through your service as priests, you will atone for the offenses which the people unknowingly commit when brought in contact with the manifestations of God's presence. And you and your sons with you shall bear the guilt in connection with your priesthood, that is, your own unintentional offenses. But bring with you also your brothers, the tribe of Levi, the tribe of your father ancestor, so that they may join with you and serve you as assistants, while you and your sons with you are before the tent of the testimony, the holy place where only the priests may go, and the most holy place where only the high priest may enter. And the Levites shall attend to your duty as assistants, and to do the duties of all the tabernacle. Only they shall not approach the articles of the sanctuary and the altar, or both they and you will die. They shall join you and attend to the duties of the tent of meeting, all the service of the tent. And no stranger, no layman, anyone who is not a Levite may approach you and your sons. So you shall attend to the duties of the sanctuary and the duties of the altar or burnt offering in the altar of incense, so that there would no longer be wrath on the Israelites, as with Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Behold, I myself have taken your fellow Levites from among the sons of Israel. They are a gift to you, given, dedicated to the Lord, to do the service for the tent of meeting tabernacle. Therefore you and your sons with you shall attend to your priesthood, for everything concerning the altar of burnt offerings and the altar of incense and of the Holy of Holies within the veil, and you are to serve. I am giving you the priesthood as a bestowed service, but the stranger, outsider, layman who approaches shall be put to death. Then the Lord spoke to Aaron, "Now behold, I, the Lord, have entrusted you with my heave offerings, even all the holy gifts of the Israelites. I have given them to you as a portion, and to your sons as a continual allotment. This shall be yours of the most holy things, reserved from the fire, every offering of the people, every grain offering and sin offering and guilt offering, which they shall render give to me, shall be most holy for you and for your sons. You shall eat it as the most holy thing. Every male of your family shall eat it. It shall be holy to you. This also is yours, the heave offerings of their gifts, including all the wave offerings of the Israelites. I have given them to you and your sons and to your daughters with you as a continual allotment. Everyone in your household who is ceremonially clean may eat it. All the best of the fresh olive oil, and all of the best of the new wine and of the grain, the first fruits of those which they give to the Lord, I give them to you. The first ripe fruits of all that is in the land, which they bring to the Lord, shall be yours. Everyone in your household who is ceremonially clean may eat it. Every devoted thing in Israel, everything that has been promised to the Lord with an oath, shall be yours. Every firstborn of the womb of all flesh, whether it is man or animal, which they bring to the Lord, shall be yours. Nevertheless, the firstborn of man you most certainly redeem, and the firstborn of unclean animals you shall redeem. And their redemption price from a month old you shall redeem according to the valuation, for the fixed price of 5 shekels in silver, in accordance with a shekel of the sanctuary, which is 20 gerahs. But the firstborn of a cow, or of a sheep, or of a goat you shall not redeem. They are holy and belong to the Lord. You shall sprinkle their blood on the altar, and shall offer up their fat and smoke as an offering by fire, for a sweet and soothing aroma to the Lord. Their meat shall be yours, like the breast of a wave offering, and like the right thigh. All the offerings of the holy things which the Israelites offer to the Lord, I have given to you and to your sons and your daughters with you. as a continual allotment. It is an everlasting covenant of salt that cannot be dissolved or violated before the Lord to you and your descendants with you. Then the Lord said to Aaron, you shall have no inheritance in the land of the Israelites, nor have any portion of land among them. I am your portion and your inheritance among the children of Israel. Behold, I have given the Levites all the tithe in Israel as an inheritance, in return for their service which they perform, the service of the tent of meeting, tabernacle. The Israelites shall never again approach the tent of meeting, the covered sanctuary, the holy place, and the holy of holies, or they who do will incur sin and die. Only the Levites shall perform the service of the tent of the meeting, and they shall bear their iniquity. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, and the Levites shall have no inheritance of land among the children of Israel. But the tithe of the Israelites, which they present as an offering to the Lord, I have given to the Levites as an inheritance. Therefore I have said to them, they shall have no inheritance among the children of Israel. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, moreover, you shall speak to the Levites and say to them, when you take from the Israelites the tithe, which I have given you from among them as your inheritance, then you shall present an offering from it to the Lord, the tithe of the tithe paid by the people. Your offering shall be credited to you as the grain from the threshing floor, or as the full produce from a wine vat. Likewise, you shall also present an offering to the Lord from all your tithes which you receive from the Israelites. And from it you shall give the Lord's offering to Aaron the priest. Out of all your gifts you shall present every offering due to the Lord, from all the best of it, even the sacred part from them. Therefore you shall say to them, when you have offered the best from it, then the rest shall be credited to the Levites as the product of the threshing floor and as a product of the wine vat. You may eat it anywhere, you and the members of your households, for it is your compensation in return for your service in the tent of meeting. You will bear no sin because of it when you have offered the best of it, but you shall not profane the sacred gifts of the children of Israel, or you will die because of it. Psalms 35. Contend, O Lord, with those who contend with me. Fight against those who fight against me. Take hold of shield and buckler, and stand up for my help. Draw also the spear and javelin to meet those who pursue me. Say to my soul, I am your salvation. Let those be ashamed and dishonored who seek my life. Let those be turned back in defeat and humiliated who plot evil against me. Let them be blown away like chaff before the wind, worthless without substance, with the angel of the Lord driving them on. Let their way be dark and slippery, with the angel of the Lord pursuing and harassing them. For without cause they hid their net for me. Without cause they dug a pit of destruction for my life. Let destruction come upon my enemy by surprise. Let the net he hid for me catch him. Into the very destruction let him fall. Then my soul shall rejoice in the Lord. It shall rejoice in his salvation. All my bones will say, Lord, who is like you? Who rescues the afflicted from him who is too strong for him to resist alone, and the afflicted and the needy from him who robs him? Malicious witnesses rise up. They ask of me things I do not know. They repay me evil for good, to the sorrow of my soul. But as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth, mourning garment. I humbled my soul with fasting, and I prayed with my head bowed on my chest. I behaved as if grieving for my friend or my brother. I bowed down in mourning, as one who sorrows for his mother. But in my stumbling they rejoiced and gathered together against me. The slanderers whom I did not know gathered against me. They slandered and reviled me without ceasing. Like godless jeerers at a feast, they gnashed at me with their teeth and malice. Lord, how long will you look on without action? Rescue my life from their destructions, my only life from the young lions. I will give you thanks in the great congregation. I will praise you among the mighty people. Do not let those who are wrongfully my enemies rejoice over me, nor let those who hate me without cause wink their eye maliciously. For they do not speak peace, but they devise deceitful words, half-truths, and lies against those who are quiet in the land. They open their mouths wide against me, and they say, our eyes have seen it. You have seen this, O Lord, do not keep silent. O Lord, do not be far from me. Wake yourself up and arise to my right, and to my cause, my God and my Lord. Judge me, O Lord, my God, according to your righteousness and justice, and do not let them rejoice over me. Do not let them say in their heart, that is what we wanted. Do not let them say, we have swallowed him up and destroyed him. Let those be ashamed and humiliated together who rejoice at my distress. Let those be clothed with shame and dishonor who magnify themselves over me. Let them shout for joy and rejoice. who favor my vindication and want what is right for me. Let them say continually, let the Lord be magnified, who delights and takes pleasure in the prosperity of his servant. And my tongue shall declare your righteousness, justice, and your praise all the day long.